Today's podcast is about the theme, your reconnection toolkit. It's a great philosophy as well. It's almost a philosophical line for life. It's amazing.
However, if you have the deep connections and then you're going through the social movement, the social bumping elbows and that kind of stuff, the deeper connections enhance the social connections. Whereas the social connections can only enhance so much. Are the people that are in your life, are they helping you to be happy?
A warm welcome to BrightBond, the podcast about real human connection across generation, cultures, and everyday life. I'm Duriaux, and here we share real conversation that leave you with practical ideas to create more connection at home, at work, and in your community. Today's podcast is about the theme, your reconnection toolkit. Or in other words, what type of tool, tips, tricks that we can get to reconnect with other human beings. And to have this great topic and to speak about this great topic, I'm honored today to be joined by Maikel Bailey. He's a certified master intelligent executive coach, leadership development expert, mindset expert, and someone who spent decades helping leaders build stronger relationships, better cultures, and more authentic presence. Maikel has over 30 years of coaching experience, so we are lucky to have such an expert, such a great human being in our podcast. Maikel, it's great to have you here, and welcome to BrightBond.
Patrick, thank you so much. It's an honor. I'm going to enjoy this time that we have together with you and your podcast followers.
Okay, wonderful. I usually like to start on a positive note, but I always start as well with warm-up questions. So my first two questions for you, if I may ask you, how old are you today and where are you based?
Well, today I am 74 years old. As well, I am in the United States. I live in the state of Utah. Live in a city just north of Salt Lake City called Bountiful.
All right, that's great. So Utah, great region, a lot of nature, beautiful nature, a lot of mountains over there. So it's a great region.
Thank you. It is. It is a lovely area to live in. It really is.
Wonderful. That's great. Also, I like to always start the podcast on a positive note and finish on a positive note as well. So I always ask my guests, what gives you positive energy at the moment, Maikel? If you can share that with us.
That's a great question. It's a bit of a moving ball. It depends on the moment, the place, the time. There's not one particular thing. Sometimes it's just jumping into something, getting something started. That's a great place. Sometimes it is slowing down and listening to other people and hearing what's going on with them. Just kind of start taking in what the vibe or the atmosphere that they're bringing. Other times it's just slowing down myself and just simply saying, let's tune into what's going on here and let's get rid of anything that might be getting in my way. Sometimes we just pick up stuff unwittingly or unknowingly that just it's kind of like barnacles on a ship, you might say, that we need to take time just to scrape off and be free of, so that it's easier for us to float and sail forward. So I think a lot of it's just kind of awareness of self and other people in the situation. So, but I think the main thing is this. Here's the main thing, if I were to distill it down: believe that you can take any moment and make it better, if that's what you want to do.
Great. That's a great philosophy as well. It's almost a philosophical line for life. It's amazing. Great to hear that from your side. We spoke a bit about human connection. We worked quite a bit together already with Maikel. I will say that Maikel has a gift. I think he has a gift as an executive coach to always ask the right question, the deep questions, who really sometimes pick your brain big time, but at the right time. So he makes people ready, and he knows when people are ready to go deep. And I think it's something not easy to do as an executive coach, and I think it's a real talent. and I'm happy to speak with Maikel about human connection. Sometimes we speak about feeling maybe disconnected as well. And I wanted to ask you, Maikel, with your depth of expertise as a human being, as a coach, as an executive coach, um, what would you say is maybe the first change that maybe people can do if they feel disconnected?
Oh, that's a great question because it has so many vicissitudes that you could pursue. Um, Indulge me for a moment. I've got a friend that I've known for 40 years, and I admire him greatly. He's a wonderful friend in so many ways. I felt such a great connection with him, and he got himself into some trouble. Broke my heart. He ended up in prison for a
Oh,
number of years.
okay.
Um, and after I found this out, he'd been in prison for a while, and I wanted to write him. And this is one of those moments which you're kind of talking. This is kind of a difficult kind of a thing. But I've not known quite how to cannot, get that conversation going just through letters,
Mhm.
just through letters. And I've been pondering this because it was a kind of complicated relationship. And I think the way to begin that is perhaps really simple, and it is with an attitude of goodwill. Just an attitude of goodwill. I wish you well. I hope things go well for you. It's a lack of animosity. It's a lack of judgment. It's a lack of any kind of contention or adversarial positions of shaming. It's just a feeling of, I hope you are doing good, and I'm here to bring you more goodwill. I have nothing to bring to you but my good, my love, my care for you. And I think it's this approach that is both positive, affirming, and yet soft. It's a soft approach because we don't really know what we're stepping into or how they're going to be. But if we come with that positive, affirming, and softness, no matter where they go, we can't go wrong because we can keep that kind of mindset of whatever you say, whatever you do, whatever's going on here, I am just going to be that person that it's okay with. Even if you turn it on me, I am going to be okay because I know how to take care of myself. So, yeah, what's happening? How are you doing these days?
That's amazing, and thanks for sharing that personal story of yours. And it feels that you're really coming from a good place with good intention. So it's a beautiful tip, I think, for all the listeners as well. Coming with a good intention and from a good place. It's a nice tip to reconnect maybe with some people, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I think it's also, I would say, brave from your side. And that's also something we talk quite a bit, also in executive coaching or leadership. We speak about to be brave. What does it mean to be a brave leader or do leadership with bravery? I wanted to ask you, in that standpoint, on this word brave, what does it mean, you think? I'm speaking about you as a human being and also as a coach, and you coach
sure.
a lot of leaders around the world. If you would say, a small brave action that people could start to connect or reconnect with people, what would be your definition of being brave in that standpoint?
Well, off of my last response there, I think it's a little bit like that. There's a difference, I think, between being brave and being courageous. I think courage has a certain kind of mental clarity and conviction about it. That yeah, I know what I'm doing. I'm going to go do this thing, and I've got a strong sense of inner strength, inner courage, inner determination about that kind of a thing. And I know what it is I'm doing, where I'm going to be going, and what's ahead. Whereas brave, I think it is. It's a combination of curiosity and duty and a willingness to say I don't know what's going to happen, and to the best of my ability I'm willing to take on whatever comes my way.
Hmm.
So it's this sense of self-trust. I think there's a sense of self-trust. So if you were wanting to connect with someone or you reconnect with somebody, this idea of I'm not sure. I'm not going to judge it. I'm going to be very open-minded about it. And so I'm willing to take a risk out of the curiosity to just see what happens and trust myself that I'll be able to figure it out. Maybe not that moment, maybe I'll come back. But it begins with, I think, bravery begins with self-trust. I believe in myself enough that I'm willing to take this step into the unknown.
It's a very interesting concept that you just mentioned about being curious as well. And as you said, there's probably sometimes a lot of uncertainty, and we don't know where we left maybe the relationship with someone. And you linked brave as well. And I wanted to ask you, would you link brave actually being with being curious, or how would you link brave and being curious together?
I do. I do connect them. And I think there's another attitude about that that can be stress relieving if we're willing to take this on. And that is to make the endeavor fun. If we can add that sense of fun to it or play,
Mm,
it also sucks out a lot of the anxiety and the worry and the fear of failure and the fear of, not doing it exactly right. So if you go with an attitude of fun and play, curiosity, and bravery, just going for it, I think that can divest a lot of the negative that otherwise would hold us back. And so with that kind of mindset, what we're doing at that point is we can't necessarily always make the situation itself safe,
mm,
right? We
right.
can't make it secure that it's safe to go into. It's also secure that it continues to be a good place. So we've got to do that internal environment conditioning for ourselves. And if we can learn how to do that internally for ourselves, then just about wherever it is you want to go, you can decide to go and get there and make those connections if you'll make it safe for yourself in terms of bravery, fun, curiosity, and let's just see what happens.
I like this positive angle you just took with having fun. That's very important as well. Who doesn't like to have fun? Everyone likes to have fun. So I think it's a very good angle as well. And curiosity and bravery as well. I think it's a great connection together, the two aspects of being brave. I really like that very much. You also, Maikel, you also spoke about mindset. And I know you're an expert as mindset readers and how to change mindset of people. Um, I hear, and I'm sure you heard that a lot of time when people say, I don't have the time. I've got too much to do. I cannot do this. I cannot do that. When it comes to a human relationship and human connection, how would you help someone when we speak about human connection or reconnecting, moving from I don't have the time to maybe I can do one small thing? How would you help them or coach them? What would be your tip about that?
Well, I think that begins also with curiosity.
Mhm.
Um, so I don't have the time. Well, okay, I can understand that you're busy. We're all busy. We all have a lot of things going on. I've always talked about when you get involved with a coach, you feel like your life is already a glass that's already full. It's
Mhm.
not only full, but it's filled up to the top, and there's that water tension that's above the lip, so it's actually above the lip of the glass. And here comes the coach with a carafe of water, just dumping it all in. It's all over everywhere. You thought you were busy before. Um, and the truth of the matter is, and we all know this, if it's important, we'll make time for it. So it's not a matter I don't have time. I've just not have made it important in my life.
Mm,
And so we are so driven by in this society the dopamine hits.
mm.
What's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? What's next? And there's a lot of joy, I suppose, in that, but it also can become a treadmill that just wears us down and wears us out. And but it's rewarded. That's the strange thing. The dopamine hit is rewarded throughout our society again and again, whether it's in business, professional, even in relationships, even in social situations. It's interesting to go to social situations and people are telling you all about their recent dopamine hits. After a while, it gets to be a bit of a yawn. Um, but there's not necessarily a lot of reward from society about the oxytocin hits,
Mm.
the connection with other people. That's not something that's often outwardly rewarded and celebrated. And so a person is just too busy to do that and slow down and make connections with other people. The only thing that you could probably start getting them to be curious about is perhaps ask them a question. Let me ask you, you sound like you're a very successful person, or you're a very busy person anyway. You got a lot going on. How you feeling? What's your level of just plain old happiness and satisfaction?
Mm.
I mean, could there be more of that? Yeah, you're accomplished. You got your to-do list and all those kinds of things. Do you ever feel like there's something that's missing?
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is whether or not they tell the truth, and you never know what that's going to be like, But the truth of the matter is that what makes the biggest turn on for people is other people. Now, people can be burned and upset and have bad experiences, yet the truth of the matter is if you get a dog that's sick or it's kind of mentally ill, the best thing you can do is put that dog in with other dogs, and the other dogs will help that dog heal.
Mm.
They'll just teach you to here's the boundaries. If this is how we work, and if you get out of line, we're not going to beat you up and kill you. We'll give you a little snip or a little push with our nose, or we will do things to help you become healthy and balanced again.
Mm.
That's what dogs do. And so for people, we look to be around almost always. There's some people that aren't this way. Almost always to be around other people who are healthy, because the healthy people will give us okay signals about being healthy, or that's probably not a good idea. You ought to rethink that or pull that back, or there's all sorts of signals that we can give each other. So in terms of if a person's saying, yeah, I am busy, is there anything missing? If they were to look at not in terms of what they're doing, if they would look at terms in terms of who are they associating with,
Mm.
are the people that are in your life, are they helping you to be happy? Are they helping you to be fulfilled? Are they helping you to feel accepted and worthwhile? Are they helping you to feel that you are a person that matters? Get them to start slowing down about that stuff. Those are harder questions to answer,
Mm.
but they're also very thought provoking about, everybody I know is it going after the same bone, or we got to get a bigger bone, or whatever it may be. But I don't know anybody that's necessarily happy.
Yeah, it's a great insight here, Michael. I really like this question of asking ourselves, am I missing something? It's a very deep question if you really think about it and you take the time, take the step back to think about what am I missing here. I also wanted to ask you, your point of view, because again, as you said, we go to a lot of social events, maybe, or we say, I'm sociable, I'm a sociable person. And I wanted to ask you, what is for you the difference between being social and feeling truly connected with people? Because there is a difference and there is something missing between being social and being truly connected. So, what would be your definition of the difference between the two, being social and feeling truly connected with people?
Well, if you ever get a chance to go somewhere with a crowd of people and you know those people, I had this experience just yesterday going to my church. There's a lot of people there that I like and I can socialize with and I can kind of visit with. And then there are those people that I really feel a connection to. And when I feel that connection to, I'm liable to slow down, kibitz with them a little bit, see how they're doing, check with them and their family and that kind of stuff. It's there's that kind of flow that happens when you're really in that connection, and in that connection, there's great fulfillment. I think that's probably the word fulfillment in those connected relationships. Whereas the other one, the social ones, they can be fun and satisfying and they're kind of passing. Uh, and that's good. I think it's good to have those kind of contacts as well, those just touch points along the way. However, if that's all they are and you don't have those deeper kinds of connections, it feels like it can be empty. It feels like it's empty for you. I'm just going through the motions. However, if you have the deep connections and then you're going through the social movement, the social bumping elbows and that kind of stuff, the deeper connections enhance the social connections,
Mm-hmm.
whereas the social connections can only enhance so much. They're not deep water stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So you need the both. You need the deep as well as the other. And that keeps a kind of a balance. It also gives you an opportunity to get to know new people. I was listening to a fellow talk in this same group the other day. He said, man, if I had to get out there and get to know everybody in our church, that'd be it's such a burden to get all those people to talk to those people. And I thought, I feel just the opposite. I'd be excited. I'd be curious. I'd be excited to talk to each of these people for 15 or 20 minutes just to get to know them, to find out who they are, find out about their families. I found that completely enlivening. I didn't find it to be a burden.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, it's an attitude thing about um, I suppose if I were to look at it in a deeper way, let's take it a real simple, deeper way. Are you a person that is carrying burdens and darkness, or are you a person who is carrying responsibility and light?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And if you're carrying a lot of burdens and you feel like there's just a lot of weight on you, you got to go find some people to help you feel lighter, to help you feel accepted, to help you feel like you matter, that you're important. You
Mm-hmm.
need to get that out there and get yourself out there and get those things going. And it's going to be difficult because if the reason you got the burdens and the heaviness and all that stuff is because of past relationships.
Yeah. No, you.
So what on your part do you need to do in terms of your own mindset of change and simply say, what am I going to do to change from the darkness, the burdens, the past, and all that stuff, and learn how to lighten up? And I'm going to tell you one thing. It's really simple. It's really simple. It sounds so hard when you're in the dark place, but it's just a decision. Decide to lighten up.
Mm-hmm.
Just decide and start practicing being lightened up, or just to be lighter about things.
Mm-hmm.
So part of that is we have more control over these things than you might think. And also, the other part of it is we can influence a lot of people. Not everyone, but a lot.
Mm-hmm. No, that's a very interesting and deep topic that you just mentioned. Also, for people who maybe are facing adversity in life, as you say, it's a decision sometimes to also connect with the right people, and sometimes not so easy to see who are the right people. But yeah, when you have people who have positive energy around you, they will probably bring you more light, as you mentioned, to use the same terminology as you, than keeping you at the same level if you're not in the right place. So that's quite interesting. You also spoke, and again, I think it's the being social. We all been in coffee machines. That's where we do the chats, small chats, coffee chats. And I think you mentioned a few times during our conversation the word curiosity, and that's an interesting one. Would you say that the difference between chit chats, coffee chats, and as we said, something more meaningful connection, would you say curiosity is the thing which differ between chit chat, coffee chat, and going deeper in connecting with people, or what would you say, or is something
I would
else?
say that, yes. And I'd also say the ability to acknowledge or to see other people
Mm,
is a big deal, just to be able to see them. I was talking to a fellow as we were waiting in line to get like at a breakfast or a picnic or something kind of a thing. And this one fellow, he's very affable, he's very smart and very socially conscious and all that kind of stuff. And I thought, I'll engage him in a little chit chat here and see where it goes. And I noticed that when I started making observations about, gee, she seems like a really smart individual and this and this and that. Well, it was really, I got the exact opposite of what I expected. Instead of saying, oh, thank you so much, and open it up, I noticed he shut down. Why he shut down, I don't know, but
mm,
he just shut down. So I thought, this is not a safe conversation for him,
mm,
with me anyway. So I recognized at that point, this is a fellow that I can keep on that superficial level of just being, positive and, happy,
yeah,
but probably not a guy that's going to want to go deep for whatever reason. And I respect that. I
sure.
respect that. I respect the depth that he's willing to go to.
Yeah.
So learning how to test, where a person is at and see how they respond. Some people will open up easily and quickly and happily. Other people are more guarded. We talked
Mm,
about that before, that it's kind of a natural thing for people to be suspicious about relationships
Yeah.
because of their past. And other people are going to pretty much draw a pretty strong curtain or even a wall. They don't want you to get any closer. They don't want to draw you any closer. So,
Mm.
part of that is knowing what signals you're picking up and
Mm.
what to do with those signals. And by good grief, of all things, don't ever, ever take it personally.
Mm.
Don't ever take it personally because you just don't know where the person's coming from. You have no idea. Just say they just happen to be in that space and wish them well, goodwill, right?
Mm. Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think you're right to say curiosity is a good thing, but you have to pick up the signal, as you said, and be respectful if people don't want to open up for XYZ reason, whatever the reason is, and respect that and wish them good things. So yeah, it's a very good point about curiosity to also keep the fine line of not pushing too much when people are not ready to open up. So it's also very important, I think, in a relationship. That's interesting. Yeah, absolutely. Also, on a personal level, I wanted to ask you a question. I'm a bit passionate about cross generation or interaction between different generations. I was like that. I practice that at work, and also on a private level, I did some research around that topic. What would be maybe one thing each generation, and we speak about curiosity, what would you say, what kind of curiosity generation could do to meet each other? So what would be the curiosity from a younger standpoint to a senior, or senior to a younger person? What kind of curiosity they could have for each other, whatever the generation is, but if
Yeah.
there's a different generation.
I'm going to start with the older generation. The older generation has been through a lot. They know a lot. They've experienced a lot, and they've had hard lessons, difficult lessons, and great experiences. And so oftentimes they want to start telling and preaching.
Mm.
That's the last thing you should do. The older generation you need to watch more. You need to listen more. You need to observe more what's going on about who these people are you're talking to, these younger generations. And if you're willing to just settle down and be patient, not judge, not expect it's your duty to straighten them out or to get them fixed or that kind of stuff. Um, when you do that, you start to recognize that the generations not uh, are, are obviously different, but their perspectives are very, very, very different.
Mm.
There's a book out called The Way You Are. It's a marvelous book. I'd recommend people to pick that up. Oprah Winfrey and another social scientist wrote it. It's a marvelous book. And the truth of the matter is, our ability to truly understand somebody else is so small. It really is very minuscule. And so the best thing we could do is do our best to understand them, but more importantly, learn to accept people,
Mm.
just where they are, where they're coming from. When you're in that middle age area, you've got a lot to say, your lives are busy, you're very active, and so you're on the go. And so you're in the mojo of, I'm in the mojo of, making things happening. So that's a great place to be at. When you're younger, it's more like it's all new, it's all different. You're experiencing things, a lot of enthusiasm. The hormones are just busting loose all over the place. And so that expression of discovering who you are is also different than when you're older or middle-aged. So curiosity, and it's a very hard thing to do, I think, is to realize that there is something out there more than you, and that something more is different than you. And it is not all about you, or it's not all about me. If we can start getting that perspective of actually seeing the other people and listening to them and just catching what it is that's going on with them, they will feel. I'm telling you, people feel when you really are observing and listening and not judging, but just accepting. It's a visceral thing. It's a primitive brain thing.
Mm.
Just as same way they'll catch you if you're judging them or shaming them or somehow, putting them down in even micro ways, microaggressive ways. Um, People are a lot smarter than we give them credit for, but they're also in a lot of ways more hungry for
Mm.
connection
Yeah.
than they would ever let you on to know.
Mm.
So that's kind of the thing to realize, that people are not in that great a shape. They're hungry for connection, but they're also hungry for the right kind of connection.
Mm. Yeah, that's a good point. The right kind of connection. You need to analyze that and understand what is your needs in the connection standpoint. That's a very important way to look at it. My next question is actually linked to that, and I think it's a tricky question. I know you so being in a good way, and it's a compliment asking in coaching sometimes some difficult questions, and that's really revealing, and picking the brain big time of people. The next question, personally, I would not know how to answer it because I think there's no one recipe. It really depends. But if you would think about someone who has very little connection, maybe close to zero connection, what would be the 7-day gentle plan to build connection? If you had to give kind of an advice to that person who has not much connection, what would you give them advice to do as a little plan?
So the person you're connecting to has like a zero connection,
For
or
instance, yeah,
okay.
that's right. Yeah.
Okay. So you want to connect with somebody that seems to be fairly isolated or alienated or just not connected, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Here's a little trick. You talked about tricks, tips, kind
Hmm.
of thing. Um, in your imagination, see this individual, see them standing there before you, and see them smiling at you, and you're smiling back at them, and even engage in a low level kind of imaginary conversation with them. How are you? What are you doing? How are things going for you? Just having that low level connection in your own mind about who they are, and do that every day, um, over a period of week or 2 weeks, maybe in 3 weeks. And do not be surprised if you, after doing that for a period of time, if they come up to you and say, um, why do you seem familiar to me? Or do I know you? Or uh, these, I don't know maybe why I'm talking to you, but I just felt like you'd be okay to talk to for some reason. I felt like I just wanted to go and talk to you. What you've done here is, in your mind, is you've created a friend relationship in your own mind towards this person. All
Mm.
right.
Yeah.
So you're kind of setting the table here. And in setting the table like that and doing that, when you see that person, your brain now reacts to them as if they were a friend.
Hmm.
So you start sending out these little micro messages in terms of how you look at them, the face, your facial expression, your smile, the way your eyes are, the attention, the way your head turns. You've already trained yourself to be that person's friend internally. You've created that inner reality.
Hmm.
In turn, they will pick that up. They will see that you're doing these things that they can't necessarily see or understand consciously, but there's something that's going on with you, that you're sending out these friend signals to them. They feel that the way your body's relaxed, just all the stuff they'll just start noticing. You will appear to them to be a friend, that you're a friendly person.
Mm.
So that's something that you can do on your own in terms of just the internal stuff, the internal stuff. The other thing is if what people are looking for, in terms of
Mm.
safety, security, a sense of belonging, that they matter, that they're important, all those kinds of things. They're looking for certain kinds of behaviors. Um, the FBI has kind of gone down to these four things: frequency. The more frequent you can be around that person, doesn't mean you're talking to them, but just the frequency of being around them. The
Mm.
other one is proximity, how close you can be to them. Doesn't mean you're going to like nuzzle up onto them, but you're not far away on the other side of the office, but you're closer to them.
Right.
So the frequency, the proximity, also the intensity, what's going on. Intensity doesn't mean like it's angry, but there's a sense of fun, or there's a sense of involvement, there's sense of something going on. It's just not, placid, zero level emotion, but there's something going on that we like. That's why we like mysteries. That's why we like shoot 'em up or superheroes. There's the intensity that we're drawn to. And then the other thing is duration. How often, when you're there, how long can you be there with them? So those are the kinds of things that we look for in terms of just human beings and being a human being. So if you want to do that, create a friendship, look at those four aspects, and then learn to do that consistently. It's literally this little formula I gave you here is how they turned spies that come to spy against us to now working for us. These are the friend signals. These are the like signals
Mm.
that if you do these things, now, of course, you could use them manipulatively, like some sort of crazed narcissist and destroy people, or it can just be one of those good people out that does this with goodwill and good intentions and,
Yeah.
creating more relationships and more friendships that make a difference. So those are the kinds of things. I mean, you take a look at things. You want to do simple things. If you want to be just really simple about it, just really simple, just the universal friend signal is a smile.
I mean, they are great tips. So again, you went really deep with a lot of great advice, and I really like the what you just said about using imagination or your imagination, your self-projection, being successful at connecting with people. All that is very, I think, very useful, very deep, and I think a lot of listeners will probably be able to relate to that. So that's a quite amazing tip, and that's very well thought. And the 7 days gentle plan, I think you probably need more than 7 days, but that's a really great lot of content and deep content from your side, Michael. So thank you so much for that.
You bet. Thank you.
Last question, which is also linked with tip and tricks. That's what I like to ask my guest as a last question is the BrightBond tip or an advice that you could give to the listeners, something simple that they can apply maybe next week to connect with people. What would you give them as a BrightBond tip?
I would say this. Change one thing in yourself. And the one thing you can change in yourself is to learn how to be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Um, Whatever is going inside of a person, we only see like 10% of what's going on. It's like the tip of the iceberg. So if they're being cruel or they're being mean or angry or whatever negative things you're just seeing the tip of it. What they're doing inside to themselves is much, much worse. Conversely, if you see somebody who's being kind and thoughtful and amiable and amicable and all those kinds of things, that they've got a certain sense of, of being good inside of themselves, good and kind. They understand it. Sometimes we struggle doing it consistently, but if you want to create relationships with reduced contention and conflict and unnecessary competition, begin by being kind to yourself, understand yourself, forgive yourself, take yourself off the hook. That doesn't mean don't be responsible, but you don't have to castigate yourself or beat yourself up or call yourself names or any of that kind of stuff. Learn to stop doing that. And those can be deep habits. And I remember talking to one woman say, so why, I said, why do you yell at yourself and say names, call yourself names? And she said, well, I feel like I deserve it. I made a mistake and so I deserve it. And I just advised her, that's just silly. Nobody deserves that.
Mhm.
That's just something that you picked up. That's a terrible limiting belief. You don't see yourself for who you really are. Just let it go. So be kind. The kinder you are to yourself, the more accepting you are of yourself. Um, that will come emanate from you, and you will naturally then do that to other people as well. And if you're doing it now, if you're already being kind to other people, but you're not to yourself, then say, well, if I do it for others, why wouldn't I do it for me?
Mhm. Yeah, it's a very valid point. Very valid point. Thank you so much for that tip. It's actually, again, very deep tip in a sense that it's a lot of self-reflection here, but being kind to ourselves can very much help us connect with other people. That's a very good tip to be kind to ourselves. Wonderful. That's really great, Michael. I'd like to thank you so much for sharing all your expertise with us. This conversation was packed with deep knowledge, deep advice, a lot of tips and tricks, clarity as well. I think you were very clear in everything you said, and I think you're really gonna help a lot of listeners who can relate to all your tips. I would just want to summarize quickly the podcast today. I think one of the thing about reconnecting sometimes is to start with being brave, and being brave could be also starting with a little step. You don't need to start big. You don't need to start with climbing the Kilimanjaro. Sometimes being brave is also starting with a little step to connect with people. We spoke about time as well. We're all busy. We all say we don't have time. I think Michael was very articulate to say that it's also a question of choice and priorities and importance rather than time. And that's for us to self-reflect about that. And repeating actions as well. That was also your point, the last point you mentioned, very useful to repeat best habits, to self-reflect, to be kind to ourselves can help also to connect with people. And safety and presence with other people being coming, and that I really appreciate it as again your example with your real life example to come from a good place to try to show the others that you are kind, that you want them to do well. It's a very good, I think, habit to connect with people. Michael, did I forget anything in my summary? Is there anything else you'd like to add?
You did a marvelous job, Patrick. Thank you so much. I
No,
appreciate your
thanks.
time
No, thank you
and the
so
work
much.
that you're doing here. You're doing great work here. So thank you.
No, thanks for taking the time, speaking of time, to be part of the BrightBond podcast. It was great to have you here. Great to have your tip and to have your knowledge with us today. I would say for the listeners, if you like this episode, if you found it inspirational, or if you think it helped you, it might help other people. So don't hesitate to pass it on, share. This podcast is about sharing knowledge. I think you understood that. And I would like to thank you too for being here. My question for you is, what is the small action step you're going to take next week? I think Michael already gave us a good tip, good action plan we can take. I would like to thank you to say, take good care of yourself. It's very important. Be kind to yourself, stay connected, and I see you next time on BrightBond. Bye for now, and thank you, Michael. Bye, Michael.
Goodbye.